Hi, I'm doing a video series on how it is that we change our life from the inside out. And when we change what's happening inside of us, we're able to shift the energy and all the things that are happening around us in our outer world. As we change our thoughts, our attitudes, our beliefs, our judgments, our intentions, our motives, we're able to be in a better place within ourselves, both emotionally, energetically, physically, spiritually, and then we're sending better energy waves out into the universe. I talked about Esther Hicks's work on the emotional guidance system, and today I want to share with you a little bit about this magnificent work by Byron Katie and her book, Loving What Is. I was introduced to Byron Katie's work about 8 years ago. When I started doing what she calls the work, it's really profoundly changed not only my life, but my relationships and how I view the world. You can find out more about her work by going to www.thework.org. On that website, and you can also go to YouTube, she's got some wonderful videos of how she's worked with people who have really tremendously been able to turn around how they look at their world. And when they turn around their perceptions and their understanding of the relationships and the dynamics and the situations that they're in, they're able to find incredible levels of peace and acceptance and compassion. So I want to share with you what those 4 questions are and give you a couple examples of how you'll be able to use them in your life. The first question is, you're thinking about a troubling situation or a troubling relationship. Maybe you think, my mother doesn't love me, my boss hates me, my roommate's a jerk, whatever it is that you might have that's a troubling belief or a challenging situation. You think of it as a statement of how you're experiencing what's happening for you. So maybe you hate your job, or maybe you're worried about financing your mortgage, or maybe you've got a really tough situation with one of your children. Write that out as a statement of what's happening in your life. So let's just take you have a troubling relationship with a child, and maybe your statement is, my son doesn't pay enough attention to school, and he's just not going to do very well in school as a result. So then you want to take that and look at that. And the first question is that true? Is it true that your son doesn't pay attention? Is it true that your son's not doing very well in school? Is it true that maybe whatever worry you have, he's going to fail school or not be successful in life? Let's look at that. Is it true? The second question is, how do you know that's true? And this is really a pretty profound question, because we often come to situations with our own filters, our own perceptions, our own judgments based on our life experiences. Well, I struggled with school and therefore I had a hard time getting a job. Okay, well, that was your journey. Maybe that's not your son's journey. Can you be absolutely certain that A, your son isn't paying attention, or that he's not going to do well in school? Oftentimes when we ask ourselves this second question, can you be absolutely certain that that's true? We stop ourselves in our tracks and we say, well, no, maybe that's not true. Well, even just that, even just stopping yourself and saying, well, maybe that's not true, makes you more aware of your judgments, makes you more aware of your perception and your bias. And when we can be aware of our own bias and really let that go, as Byron Katie writes, you let go of your story. So many times we're so wrapped up in the stories of what's going on in our life. She's doing this, he's bad, she's lazy, he's irresponsible. And yet that's just a story. It's just our perception, and maybe it's based on our life experiences. Probably it is. And we bring that to the situation. In psychology, we would say we're projecting our stuff onto somebody else. So how do we pay attention to our story? And how do we unwrap ourselves from that story so that we can maybe see it with fresh eyes? So once we really stop ourselves and ask, how do you know that's true? Or can you be absolutely certain that's true? Then we can go to the next place, and that's where the real transformation happens. The next place is, who would you be without this thought? Who would you be without your story? Wow, there's a profound question. Who would you be without your story? Who would you be if your son wasn't struggling with school? Who would you be if your son was paying attention? Who would you be if she wasn't irresponsible? Who would you be if you showed up in a different way? Who would you be without your story? It really makes you stop and think. What is it that you really want to experience in your life? And how are you affecting those around you? So once you get clear on who would you be without your story, she then has you write out a series of statements. How would you turn that around? Instead of my son doesn't pay attention or my son isn't doing well in school, one of the turnaround is my son is doing well in school. My son is paying attention. A more profound turnaround is the one that always gets me every time. How am I not paying attention? How am I not doing well in some important aspect of my life? Whoa, that's when it really gets challenging. Because now you got to start looking at your stuff and not about somebody else's. So as you look at your stuff more clearly, maybe what am I not paying attention to that I need to? Maybe I'm not paying attention to my health. Maybe I'm not paying attention to my sleep. Maybe I'm not paying attention to the relationships that are important to me. What does that look like? What if I were paying attention? That's the turnaround. Maybe I can pay more attention to what's going on around me. Maybe I can pay more attention to my son. Maybe I can show up in a different way to the important things that are going on in my life. So you see, we answer these 4 questions that are fairly straightforward and simple, but it gets us to deeper and deeper and more profound truths about who we are. What's the story that we're saying, and who are we showing up as if we have that turnaround? I invite you to use this work, and Byron Katie has all of the worksheets on her website of these 4 questions. Is that true? Can you be absolutely certain that it's true? Who would you be without your story, or who would you be without that thought? And what's that turnaround about what that other person's doing or what's going on within me? As you find out what's going on within you, you can then make the turnaround intentionally, consciously, choosing another thought, choosing another belief, choosing another action, choosing another energy level that you want to bring into your life. That's how you change your world from the inside out. Thank you for coming to this video and your interest in the work that we're doing. May we all create a more peaceful, harmonious world together. Blessed be.